Happy Thanksgiving, everybody. It was quite the rodeo getting in here today. We have some pretty cool temperatures, and I got up pretty early this morning. I was up at 4. This piece is just down the road, but I wanted to do my best to try and slip in. But basically, about, I don't know, 75 to 100 yards into the walk-in, I heard some deer up in front of me. The doe started blowing, but I could tell she wasn't blowing at me. And basically, just standing there with my light off, it's like a full moon or near full moon, so we got a lot of moonlight. And she walked by at about 20 yards blowing, and what she was blowing at was a buck that was kind of hounding her. And that buck came by me at 10 yards this morning in the moonlight, which is pretty awesome. So I kept moving through. It's really thick, trying to get in to where I'm at. I have to cross this real kind of wet, swampy area that's just full of greenbrier and multiflora rose, and it's just nasty. So it's really difficult to get through without using a light, and I could hear deer all around me. By the time I got to this area that I want to hunt on the other side of this swampy area I had to cross, I could hear a couple of deer up in front of me, and they moved off up towards the road. So I got in my tree, not really where I planned on being, but pretty close. And as I was about at my third stick, my top stick, I had deer coming in front of me. They were about 40 yards away. And as I was trying to get that, platform up, they were coming through. So it was a fiasco. My bow was on the ground. My bag was up here. I was just with my linesman, just attached to the tree. And basically, I just waited until they were turning their heads, and I got my bow up, had to let my jacket down, and that got hung up. And essentially, they worked off through into this thick area about 25, 30 yards away. And I was able to get my bow up, get an arrow knocked, and ready, and she came right down in about 15 yards behind this pocket of greenbrier and a little beech whip and some small pine saplings, and no way I felt comfortable enough to try and shoot through any of that junk. So I held the bow back by as long as I could, and she turned her head away. I dropped the bow down, and they got a little nervous and they walked off. So my wind's great. They didn't really wind me or anything. They just got nervous and moved off. So there's been a flurry of deer activity today. I love hunting Thanksgiving. I always have really good activity around Thanksgiving around here. So we'll see what the rest of the morning holds. I know there's some deer out here in this cattail swamp. It's just this real nasty swamp. I know there's some deer out there. The ones that came by me earlier this morning, and then this group of does moved off. So who knows? We could have something come through. Well, it's about 9:45 now, and it's been pretty quiet since those does came in. I got some Thanksgiving family gatherings to get to, so I'll probably hop down here in the next 10 to 15 minutes. And I'll swing through and grab the card out of my camera and see what that has. So if there's anything good on there, I'll bring that to you. But otherwise, we'll be out tomorrow, rain or shine, in the morning. And Saturday will be the last day of our Massachusetts Archery season. So this will probably be the first time in 5 years straight that I haven't got a deer in archery season. So we got 2 days left to try and connect with the bow before I have to break out the muzzleloader. But sometimes that's how it goes. Tough season. Well, good afternoon, everyone. It's the day after Thanksgiving, and we're heading in for an afternoon hunt. Another piece of public, and I'm heading into this oxbow. It's formed by this small creek, but it's a decent sized oxbow, probably about 15 acres or so, maybe a little less than that. We had a southwest wind this morning, which pushes most of the wind up into the point of the oxbow. And then this wind has just started to switch and be more out of the west. So I'm hoping that some deer got pushed up into the end of it. I killed a buck coming off the point of that oxbow last year on a west wind or southwest wind. It was pretty shifty. But this wind shift today has me thinking that I might be able to slip in. If the wind's good, I should be undetected, and hopefully something's up there and I can get a shot at it. So kind of high risk, high reward. I haven't been in there at all this season. I know it's typically really good because no one really makes the hike out there. So the rain's just starting to let up, and hopefully the deer will be on their feet early. I just kicked up a doe on the way in now, so they should be on their feet. It's getting cold. It might even snow by about 6 o'clock tonight, so I'll have our fingers crossed that we get something coming off this oxbow working down to me. So we'll see. Stick with us. Alright everybody, so we're set up in the tree now. I'll keep this real quiet and short, but about 30-40 yards off the edge of the creek on the what would be the south side of this oxbow, kind of funnels up towards the top where it pinches and makes that kind of that hard point up top in the oxbow. So my wind is fairly consistent out of the west. It's very light, but it is pretty consistently going right over my shoulder towards the creek here. So the main trail will come from the point of the oxbow and come down right in front of me here on the back side of the tree. Like we saw on the way in, there's a lot of feeding sign that's fresh droppings, fresh drags in the ground. Pretty well tore up from them picking up acorns. So we could get some deer coming from the middle of this as well as coming along the edge. So that's what we're hoping for. It's about 2 o'clock now, so the rain has stopped and anything can happen, so we'll keep our eyes peeled. Neat. I think I missed high. I shouldn't have bleeded at him right here. I could have. Man, is that exciting. Came right to the base of my tree, picked up my ground set, and went right over here, and this pine tree's in my way. And he was about to move, so I bleeded at him. And he got through there. But I think I shot him high. I shot high. He came right to the tree. You gotta be kidding me. Well, I'll have to get down and check my arrow. This is pretty soon here. See if there's any blood on it. But if I hit him really high. It looked like I had to sneak my arrow through these branches. I was really concerned about that. Alright guys, so you can probably tell it's the next morning. Heading back in after searching last night. Searched for a while, pretty much till my camera my headlamp battery started running out. And I found the impact site. I found tufts of fur. I could not find blood. I could not find my arrow. I searched everywhere right at the impact site and behind it, and I still can't find it. So we're going in today. We're gonna really scour the area. Based on my initial reaction to the shot that I thought I missed high, I think I definitely, well, obviously I definitely hit it, but I think it was a significantly high shot, potentially just up in the back straps, that high. So it wasn't on frame for the video for the GoPro, and the main camera was away for the rain. So we're gonna have a look around. There's two ways he could have gone. He could have crossed over the creek that I came in by, which will complicate things, and then if he hooked right in the direction he was going, he will cross over a set of railroad tracks and into a separate piece of wood. So I'm gonna have to do a good bit of scouring around. I gotta try and find that arrow. That'll be a big clue to this puzzle, and then just pretty much do a grid search of the area and see what I can come up with. So whatever I find, I'll bring to you guys. Just had a small buck work right by me, about 30 yards. He's just up there about 40 yards now. It's not the one I shot, it's a little smaller. At least it looked like it. Alright everybody, so the search is not going great. I've done some pretty big perimeters around the site impact, which I'm at right now. Up that way is a set of railroad tracks, and then off this way is the like river creek. This is where he was, and I was up in that oak tree, which is probably hard to see. So the arrow came through here, and you can see I got these tufts of fur here as well as here, and my arrow clearly had come through here, hit him, and I have not found one drop of blood in this entire 150-yard radius. Checked all the trails that cross the creek, and then the ones that go up by the railroad. I'm going to do another couple loops around over here. But what happened afterwards is what I watched him work into the corner where the two meet, river and the railroad tracks. So I scoured that area for blood and no blood, and I still cannot find my arrow. So you can probably see that I tore the ground up pretty good trying to find that arrow, and I just don't know where it is. I mean, unless it's buried way past the fletchings into the dirt, which could be, you know, could be in there somewhere. Or the other thing I'm thinking is, based on my initial reaction where the shot went really high, or I thought it went really high, I could have just clipped him right across the top of the back, and the arrow could have skipped way further out. So I'm gonna keep looking for that and see if we can find it, but it's just turning into a pretty big grid search at this point, and I'm not seeing much that's gonna tell me that, you know, this deer's dead, especially based off of his reaction to the shot and how he kind of just meandered off. So yeah, we'll keep having a look around, and See if we can bring anything else to you. Alright guys, so I'm heading back in now for this afternoon hunt. I'm gonna head back into the same piece. I was really contemplating, where I should go this afternoon, but after not finding that deer and just really feeling like I don't think I put a fatal shot on him, the odds are he might still be up in this area. When I slipped in this morning, I saw that other small buck kind of right up where I was set up yesterday, and the amount of sign I saw in there on my walk in this morning was definitely more than there was previously when I walked in originally. So for whatever reason, I don't think they got too nervous with my ground scent in there. There's just so much sign, and I found 3 fresh beds that weren't there yesterday. So obviously nighttime beds, but I think there might be at least 1 or more deer up in that oxbow. So I got the same exact wind direction today. It's just a lot stronger. So I think I'll be able to push up a little further. I'm going to set up more on the edge of the river. Hopefully I don't get too much swirling or kickback, but it seems like they always want to hug that edge. Like that deer came right to my tree, even though I wasn't set up on like a main run. So I'm going to be more off to the side. Hopefully something follows a similar path and we can connect this time. Alright, here's the situation. I'm making my way up towards where I was hunting yesterday, about 30 yards from that tree, and I wanted to push further, but I just caught a glimpse of it's either the buck I shot yesterday and didn't kill, or another buck. It's not a very big buck, but he's about 50 yards ahead of me. The wind is going at the river, just to my right. So I'm good on my wind, and I can either make a move up right in here to my left and try and get up in a tree, or I can try and advance on this buck on the ground. But I lost him. I think he might have even bedded down like 50 yards away up there. So I'm gonna try and wait a little while and get eyes on him again. Well, I just kicked him up. Basically, I don't know if you can tell, but there's this little ditch right here that drops down about 4 or 5 feet, and I was in that direction about 40 yards away when I first saw him, and then he disappeared. And what he did was he came down into this little ditch, and so instead of going out and around, because my wind would have been right to him, I crept up along the edge of the river in the red brush, slipped up, and I figured out where he was. And I was just standing in this ditch trying to figure out my next move. Took 2 steps up to the side here, and he was 10 yards, just in this thick brush. Turn me around so you can see. He was just 10 yards away in that. So I slipped right in on him. It wasn't very big, but it's a bummer. I finally made it up into a tree. I'm not even sure what time it is. It's probably after 3 already. 2:57. So I'm only about 45 yards further up towards the point of the oxbow than I was yesterday. We just kicked up that deer a little while ago, and he ran into the middle of this piece, just upwind of me. So I worked up the edge of the river again, just a little further, and then I kind of made my way into this edge of these pines, you can see. So I got some pretty decent cover around me. And every time I had deer come into me in this piece, they're always coming right down this kind of, I guess you could call it like a lane between some, pockets of thick undergrowth. on each side. So that's what we're hoping for. I'm hoping that, you know, something's out on that point. It's gonna work its way in like yesterday and like times before. That other smaller buck that went off that direction, maybe he'll show back up. So it's the last afternoon of bow season. Whatever comes by, I'm gonna try and put an arrow through. So I'm hoping we get something within range. Nice buck up here, shooter buck. I think he's gonna go that way. Come on, Adam. I think he's heading that way. This grunt call won't work. So the buck's back. Probably about 50 to 60 yards. Going left. My wind is good. Here he comes. He's turning my way now. I just hit him with the snort piece and a grunt. Close call for the last day of archery season. I didn't get too much of that final scenario on film. I was just trying to make something happen, you know, with the light fading. But I can explain kind of what happened. That buck that I was watching about 50, 60 yards out was moving real slow. Eventually he came into the kind of the clearing in front of me, which at its furthest distance from me is about 40 yards. And you know, he eventually worked his way into that and just kind of snaked his way through, never giving me a shot at like 35. Passed a couple openings, but was just moving too quick to really give me any opportunity. And then you know, he snuck his way down into about 30 and then 25, and he was just behind, you know, stuff that just did not give me any chance to try and sneak an arrow through. And finally he worked off to my right side where it was just all pine thicket and no shot, and you know, it was fading light at that point too. So I'll take all this stuff that I've been, you know, scouting and
hunting all archery season. I'll bring this into gun season. It opens up on Monday with shotgun for 2 weeks, and then muzzleloader for 2 weeks. So I got some time off this upcoming week, and I plan to be putting the muzzleloader into action since we can use it during shotgun season. So yeah, stick with us, guys. It's been a really tough bow season for me, but you know, I'm hoping to connect at least in this upcoming rifle season.
He's done. I don't know where the first shot hit, but let's give him some time to accelerate. Should be done here in a second. I couldn't get any of that on film. I'm creeping up through this big piece of public. It's pretty open on one side, and on the other side where the wind's blowing, it's all briars. And I wasn't seeing anything up in the oaks. So the sign wasn't up in the oaks. I figured they're out in the briars, eating briars, and the wind's blowing into the briars. So I had to really pick my way through, and I coming down this old path, and I just you know, still hunting. I just looked up. I saw him about, it must have been about 60 yards or so, and I had his lower chest and neck exposed, and that's where I put the shot. And I thought I saw it turn and bolt, but I don't think he really made it all that far. I kind of just dropped him in his tracks, and then, you know, I just crept up here, and he was still kicking. So I just put another shot in him. But holy crap, that was exciting. I haven't killed one with the muzzleloader in quite a while, so we'll give him a minute here, make sure he's all expired. I'll get a tag on him. I'll get you guys up close to him so you can see him. I think he's just a half rack, a little 6 or 8 pointer, but it's good to put something down finally.
Well, guys, it's been a long season, you know, trying to get after some of these bucks. You know, this was one buck I think I had on camera on the back side of this river up here early in the fall, and I was trying to connect with him a couple times, especially in some recent hunts. But just a big old buck, big heavy gray face, thick neck. You know, what I was doing here today, we had super cold temps, and I wanted to get out and just still hunt my way through some of these areas. Some areas are getting hit with, you know, deer eating the acorns, and then I didn't see any of that on my way in today. So what I decided to do was slip up to this one side of this big piece that has, you know, a lot of green briar in it. I think they want some of that greens post rut. So that's what I did, and he was leaving the river, heading up into the green briars. It's great bedding cover up in here. It's super thick. It's like head high briars, and I was just slipping down an old trail and happened to catch him out of the corner of my eye. He was about 65 yards, I would say. I haven't really checked, but I'm guessing it's right around there. And yeah, he gave me the front half, you know, from shoulder forward. So I put it on the base of his neck on this side, and it just dropped him in his tracks. I thought I saw him bound off, but I didn't. And when I just slipped up to make sure, you know, if he had taken off or if I had put a good shot on him, he was still kicking. So I just put one more in him just to finish him off quick so he didn't have to suffer long. But yeah, he's a good deer. He looks like he's a pretty old deer. He's probably been around the block out here for a little while. you know, this is the caliber of deer we're working with here in Eastern Mass. Some of these bucks, especially ones of these big old faces, they've been around for a little while, dodging some of this shotgun and muzzleloader and bow pressure all year for many years. So yeah, she's a great one. I'm really excited to finally knock one down. All right guys, so it's the next day, and just got him out to take some better photos before I bring him up to the processor. But I just quickly wanted to go over, since I didn't really get anything on footage yesterday leading up to the kill. So like I mentioned previously, you know, I was just still hunting my way through, picking up on where I can see some feeding signs since it's post-rut. So I picked my way through some areas with some oaks, which didn't show that they were really feeding there. So I moved up to the briar area, thinking they'd be in some thick cover feeding on some green stuff. So I worked my way up there, using the wind to my advantage, and just got up, caught him cutting through, leaving the area that I've hunted previously by the river, heading up to that briar patch. So a little bit of luck, but you know, definitely being patient, taking my time. It took me about 3 hours to make it to where I got to, from 6 to 9 basically. You know, my process was pretty much just 1 to 2 steps at a time, toe, heel, sounding like a deer, and that seemed to keep them from, you know, picking up on me being a human. So especially for this one, that slow walking pace really paid off. And I really think that this is the deer that I just missed an opportunity on the other day when I got to full draw. It looked exactly the same, and he was coming out of the same piece where I was hunting beforehand. So a little bit of redemption. Had to break out the muzzleloader. So you know, normally I'd be really excited to shoot something like this with the bow, but you know, I'm not going to pass up the opportunity to take something with a gun if I get the chance. So yeah, it was a fun hunt. It was a good hunt. It's taken a while to get something put down this year, but that's the way it goes. If you get something every time you go out, it certainly wouldn't be hunting. So if you guys haven't liked or subscribed, please do that. It really helps the channel out. And yeah, we'll catch you on the next one. We're getting back after it, going back out with the muzzleloader, see if we can knock down a doe or one of those big target bucks that I got. Thanks guys.